Okay, before I introduce my next feature reader, I just want to tell a story about an adventure she and I had. We were at a reading in Sausalito, and afterwards, while we were waiting for our very own Kate Moses to join us so we could go to a bar and get a drink, she and I were standing outside the hall and just doing our usual thing where we're simultaneously each other's annoying kid sibling. And someone from the program walked up to us and started talking to us and then said, "So are you two a couple?" And we laughed really hard. It was funny.
I can't.
Because there's a lot of tension in it. I don't have to talk about it. It's all. Jonna Carter is the author of 14 imaginary novels, one of which, in her mind, has already been made into a wildly popular BBC miniseries starring that kid who played Ron Weasley. Yay! She is rumored to live in the sewers of Milwaukee, where she is gathering research for her current project, Where Shit Goes, A Brief History. Her phobias include palm trees, clam juice, and people who think they're French. Please welcome Jonna Carter.
So, my first thing I'm going to read is, well, I thought of this idea because my boyfriend, husband, I guess, was like, how to understand why nobody ever writes stuff, like from the point of view of a Kentucky Fried Chicken leg. And I think he might have been asleep when he said it, but once somebody gives you that kind of advice, you just can't ignore it. So, here you go. Traffic was never an issue for Terry. Some years back, he had constructed a replica Mustang from a hobby shop kit. It smelled of model glue and factory plastic, but made weaving through the standard-sized cars on the Parkway a cinch. Being a Kentucky Fried Drumstick does have its advantages, he thought to himself on one morning commute. He shifted into fifth gear, leaving the gridlock behind in a plume of 11 herbs and spices. He punched in early that day and hopped into the break room for some coffee. He rarely showed his face in there during lunch for obvious reasons. Near disasters when confused with someone's leftovers were heart-stopping, but he was quick to laugh them off. He knew his coworkers meant well. Back in his cubicle, he adjusted the photo of him and his wife, Bernadette, on their wedding day. He called her Bernie. Suddenly, the sour smell of cologne engulfed his desk, and a low chuckle rattled the paper clips. Even with all the sensitivity training the company employed, people still made comments. "So, you married a chicken finger." "How'd your parents take it?" Pat leaned against the cubicle, licked his hand, and flattened his white comb over. Terry's parents were long dead, of course. Died valiant deaths in the revolt of fast food everywhere that earned him his freedom. He knew there were others not so lucky. The burritos and burgers of the world, still chained to a regime of convenience. Terry wanted to say all this in answer, describe the carnage, make Pat feel terrible. But that wasn't Terry. He was a friendly like, and he knew how to climb the corporate ladder. "We're really all the same underneath," he replied cheerfully. He meant everyone. People, deep-fried animal parts, side dishes, even condiments. Everyone. "But she's boneless, right? Must be great in bed," Pat grunted with amusement. Terry forced himself to chuckle along with him until a greasy tear dripped onto the keyboard. Pat elbowed him in the side and nosed back to his own workstation. Hours later, Terry began to daydream. He imagined himself on a surfboard riding the wake of a motorboat, and next to a bonfire, writing the Great American Song on the miniature guitar he purchased at the Graceland gift shop on one of their family vacations. Terry had the sort of job that was difficult to describe to an outsider. He streamlined, he project managed, he analyzed cost-to-benefit ratios. His office conversations were peppered with jargon and three-letter acronyms. "I make a good living," he told himself in a whisper. "I've got a wife and 3 nuggets at home to support. I can surf and play music when I retire in 20 years." That afternoon, he had to make some copies. He sat on the whole bench listening to Eileen vent about her second mortgage, while the Xerox machine whirred and clicked and glowed with green laser light behind them. "Of course, you and Bernie don't have to worry about any of this. Buckets are always a dime a dozen, right?" This was another rumor going around, that they still lived like fast food, 12 of them crammed into a paper tub. Our place is actually over on Highview, he tried to smile. The brick ranch style with the white trim? Eileen shrugged and grabbed her copies. Terry noticed his jaw unclenched as she walked out the door. At 47, his colleagues began to stream out. Pat made 2 guns with his hands and fired away at Terry while he passed, saying, "Get out of here, you're looking pretty fried." As Pat walked toward the elevator, Terry noticed a large ketchup stain on the seat of his trousers and contented himself with that. Not alerting him to the fact before he nestled into the white seat of his Camaro would be Terry's own silent rebellion. While he slogged through spreadsheet after spreadsheet, Terry found himself thinking about Eileen. What does she know about real estate anyway? Her house isn't even zoned for good schools, and that ingrate son of hers with a drug problem is the reason she had to mortgage it in the first place. My Elliot is on the honor roll, and little Millie aced her first trombone recital last week. Eileen, who is she to tell me? Staying late? It was the intern Joey walking past. Trying to get a leg up, huh? This was the last straw. Terry swiveled around in his chair, leapt through the space between them, and began beating the young man about the face, leaving crumbs and shiny swipes of oil with each blow. The janitor had to hold him back, and Joey fell into a heap, confused, his own wordplay lost on him. After the incident, Terry was asked to attend anger management classes or resign. It was up to him. Bernadette was supportive as always. The kids were oblivious to the whole thing, and life went on as it had. Okay, and the second one is vitamins. It's called the Special. They came in ships on billowing white sails with black crosses. The hulls were made of fiberglass and looked brand new. The aliens had wrinkled skin of different colors and wore glimmering chains around their necks. Mary is still sweeping the overgrown paths of Central Park, waiting for them to return. Billy hasn't spoken since the day they came. He is at the Welbury House of Nursing and Letting. Mary spends a lot of time nursing him, and I spend a lot of time by the window. Before they came, we were almost like brothers. They got out of the ships, ate brunch at the boathouse, and then sailed away. Some people took pictures, but they all came out looking like camouflage, like when you take a picture of another picture. I don't run that way anymore. All the believers are camped out, waiting for them to come back. Mary can't understand why her supervisor won't make them leave. Or maybe it's me who can't. She just sweeps the paths like she always did, waiting too, like I said. But after park curfew, they do leave. Maybe because of the cops, or maybe because it gets sketchy in the park after dark. And who ever heard of sailing at night anyway? The day it happened, I was running our usual circuit, coming north past the baseball field, around the fountain and down East Drive toward the lake. I was training. I still am. I ran into Mary, who was deliming a diseased tree in her Marine Parks uniform. We just happened to be there when they arrived. 2 ships, like Christopher Columbus's, only modern and sleek, made for racing, indestructible. They floated through the morning mist and docked. Who knows how they got into that man-made lake with no inlet and no outlet. Must have dropped from the sky, people say. And Billy, who had been waiting his whole life to see something weird, slept in that morning and didn't meet me at the Imagine Mosaic like he did every other day. And when Mary and I told him that they had already sailed away, he rolled himself up on the living room carpet and wouldn't eat or drink for 2 days until we had to take him to the house. They tried getting rid of the bad blood with aspirin and leeches. They tried showing him pictures of his favorite foods. So far, nothing has snapped him out of it. So I went alone now on a different route, past the zoo where the aliens would probably be now if they had stayed, and then up around Sheep Meadow. Although I can't always avoid the believers. They wear matching yellow t-shirts with a crude approximation of the 4-pointed SWAT black symbol that was on the sails, probably based on my description to the Times. When it first happened, this homeless guy made a bunch of these shirts to sell to tourists, and now he's a millionaire, lives in the plaza. They surround me, and I try to keep running, kick up my knees and fight, but they always manage to slow me down and touch my hands and eyelids. What do they sound like, they always ask. That morning I was too far away to hear anything but murmurs drifting over the water. A goose flying close to the surface honked, which obscured their voices further. There were 6 of them. They wore long, fresh silk robes, and their hair was spiked up as if with gel. I already told all this to the press. I came here to run, I say, angry, but still they are smoothing my hands, touching my eyelids. They ask when the aliens will come back and take them away. Not soon enough for me, I think. The government is planning for it too. I read about it in the paper every day at the bagel shop where Billy and I used to eat breakfast after our runs. I started drinking orange juice. It's supposed to help with radiation. Scientists in the beginning tested the lake and detected slightly higher levels of radioactivity, although neither I nor Mary nor the staff of the boathouse have reported any ill effects. The boathouse business is booming. Everybody gets the alien plate. Apparently the aliens all ordered the same thing. Eggs quarantine, which also happened to be the special that day. The people joke, "Can I have a saucer with my tea?" and laugh. And the believers aren't laughing. Their eggs are like communion. Eventually, I break away from them and jog up toward the net. They shout after me, "You are a holy vessel!" And when they try and follow me, I say to them in my breathless runner's voice, "Get back to the lake, you don't want to miss anything." Sometimes I wish the aliens would come again. I would ask them to visit Billy at the house. Maybe seeing them would bring him back to us. At the house, Mary and I drink milk out of little cartons and play Jenga, hoping the crash of the tiles will remind Billy that he is still alive. Mary takes off his socks and rubs his feet with Vaseline. He never did take good care of his skin. The three of us were childhood friends. Boy, girl, boy, duck, duck, goose. She clips his fingernails, snap, 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 all over the blanket. Billy just stares. I don't touch him. Never did before, so why should I start now? Never did when we were kids growing up a block from PS 87. We were never touchers. We were runners, always running. From our mothers, from the bully kids, even from Mary, from the ordinary. We always thought we could escape it, and maybe we have.